Hey, I'm Adam Jusko, and this is Strictly Credit Cards, where we talk about strictly credit cards. Subscribe, why don't you? In this video, we are going to look at the UMB Bank Simply Rewards Visa, a surprisingly good rewards credit card from a bank that probably a lot of people have never heard of. So UMB Bank is a smaller bank. Its branches are in sort of the lower Midwest, I guess you could say. They are headquartered in Missouri, so then they have operations in Missouri and Kansas and Nebraska, Illinois, Texas, I think maybe Arizona, and maybe a couple others as well, but they offer their banking services nationwide, in particular their credit cards. Now, they also are the backing bank for some smaller community banks as far as credit cards go, and then they also are the backing bank for a number of credit cards for associations and museums and nonprofits. They even back this Three Stooges credit card, which seems like a thing that doesn't need to exist. Anyway, UMB also has its own credit cards that are branded as UMB Bank credit cards, and one of them is the Simply Rewards Visa, and it is a really good rewards credit card. I kept trying to poke holes in it to figure out if there was something that I was missing about this card, and it really seems like a good one. If one of the bigger banks was offering this card, we would probably talk about it a lot, but because it is this smaller bank, it is one that is pretty much off most people's radar. Now, you get your rewards from the UMB Bank Simply Rewards Visa in the form of points, and you get 3 points per dollar on a bunch of everyday categories, including gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants and fast food, discount stores, and then you get 1 point per dollar on everything else. So those are some really nice everyday categories to get 3 points sort of across a lot of things that we are, spending on every single day. So to get groceries, restaurants, and gas all in one credit card is already pretty good. To get discount stores even kind of kicks it up a notch because of the fact that things that code for discount stores are things like Target and Walmart and Sam's Club and TJ Maxx and Dollar General and what's the other one? Family Dollar, all of those sorts of things. Now, I don't know if every single one of them is always going to code correctly, but I have to imagine that for the most part you're going to get that 3 points per dollar. There is a code that gets kind of sent back to the credit card company, and that is a 4310. It's called an MCC code, and that is the discount store code. So that is what Walmart and Target and a lot of these other ones are under. So I have to assume that all of them are falling under that 3 point per dollar. So 3 points per dollar in a lot of good categories. This no annual fee Simply Rewards Visa card also has a bonus opportunity. You can earn 15,000 points, roughly equivalent to $150 of value in most redemption scenarios, if you spend $1,500 or more with the card in the first 3 months of having it. That 15,000 points or $150 value, that is a bonus that is kind of pretty standard and pretty competitive with a lot of no annual fee cards on the market. Having to spend $1,500 to get that bonus, that's a little higher than most banks would make you spend in order to get a bonus of that side, but still understandable, I guess, for a smaller bank that maybe they would have a little bit higher bar to get there, and it's still a decent bonus. Now, when I first started investigating this card, I had a little bit of a fear that these points were going to be worth less than a penny a point. And sort of the industry standard is each point in many programs is going to be worth a penny. So 10,000 points would give you $100 worth of value in most programs. But this one, because I thought this card's really offering a lot, I was a little worried, like, well, maybe those points aren't worth a penny a piece. But they are in pretty much every scenario that you can redeem them. So you can redeem for statement credits, you can redeem for merchandise, there are gift cards, there are travel redemptions as well. There isn't necessarily a minimum redemption across the board with this card, but for the most part, if you want cash back or you want gift cards, you're going to have earned at least $25 in rewards to be able to cash those in. Some of the merchandise rewards you can get for less than $25, but figure on $25 as the place where you're going to have to get to for most rewards of any substance. Interest rates on this card anywhere from 11.99% to 19.99% as I make this video. That 11.99% pretty low in today's market. That 19.99% not great, but really not terrible when you look at some other cards out there on the market that will go up into the 20s and still be approving people, 22%, 24%. So if you do get this card, you're doing okay on the interest rate compared to other cards on the market. But of course, we never recommend that you revolve your balances, and if you don't, you'll never have to pay interest, so you won't have to worry about those interest rates at all. Now, in the first year of having this card, you actually get a 0% interest rate. You'll get a 0% interest rate on your purchases for the first 12 months, so if you did revolve a balance, you wouldn't have to pay any interest in those first 12 months. There is also a 0% offer for balance transfers for 12 months on this card, meaning you could move a balance from another card onto this one, and it would sit at a 0% interest rate while you try to pay it off for the first 12 months. On balance transfers, there is a 3% balance transfer fee, meaning you're going to pay a fee of 3% of the amount you transfer up front. Then it will sit at 0%. So you're going to pay a little bit up front to actually be able to move that balance. Foreign transaction fees on this card, 2%, meaning you're going to pay 2% extra on any purchases you make with the card outside of the United States. In the no annual fee market, foreign transaction fees oftentimes are 3%, so that is better than many cards on the market. But then there are also some no annual fee cards that have no foreign transaction fees, so this one kind of sits in the middle. UMB Bank says that based on their assessment of your credit card application, if you are given a credit line of $5,000 or more, you would get this card as a Visa signature, which means it's going to have some extra benefits around travel insurances and some auto rental insurances and some other things like that. If they approve you, but they give you a credit line under $5,000, it sounds like they're giving you a Visa Platinum, which is not going to have some of those extra things that I just mentioned. Now, a question that inevitably comes up when we look at a credit card like this, or any credit card for that matter, is what would it take to be approved? What kind of credit score do I need? Are they going to approve most people, or barely approve anybody? When I look at this card, there's not a lot of track record out there to necessarily say, but when I look at this card, I see a card that has a pretty low interest rate range and a card that is very generous with its rewards and has no annual fee. So to me, that means you probably have sort of a higher hurdle to get over to be approved for this card, especially sometimes smaller banks are not going to approve as many people as the big banks just in general. So my guess would be you're probably going to have at least a 700 credit score if you want to have any chances of being approved for this card. I don't know that for sure because UMB Bank has some experience dealing with people who are lower on the credit score scale because they are the backing bank for all these associations and nonprofits and all that kind of stuff. They obviously deal with people with many different types of credit scores, but for a card that is as generous as this card is, I would have to guess that the standard is a bit higher. So overall, I really like what this card is offering. UMB Bank's Simply Rewards Visa, giving you 3 points per dollar. Essentially, you could think of as a 3% reward in, those big everyday categories: gas, groceries, restaurants, discount stores. Decent bonus, even though it takes a little bit more of a spend to get to it. A lot of reward options. Not too bad of a hurdle, that $25 that you're going to need in most cases to actually redeem. It's nice if you can redeem for less, but not that big of a deal. So like I said earlier, if one of the bigger banks was offering this card, a lot of people would be very excited about it. The fact that we have UMB Bank that really is not all that well known, and they don't really do a ton to market this card, beyond their geographic area, means a lot of people just aren't aware of it. But now you are aware of it, and so maybe this is a card that you would want to consider. That's it. Questions, comments, if you have any experience with UMB Bank in your past, would love to see those in the comments section as well. Otherwise, I thank you for watching, and we will see you again soon.